Good morning, everyone. Getting my computer set up over here. It's interesting. I figured out that YouTube makes you do it in Chrome, and I have a MacBook, and I just want to say, don't mess with perfection. I have no issue with Safari on anything else. So I don't know why it takes forever. Here we go. I'm just gonna fix my screens. I've decided that I need a theme song to get rolling and on this video, and I don't have one, so I'm gonna sing one. I'm gonna make up my own. This is the Carrie Show. I call it the Carrie Show. For everyone who said it's not the Carrie Show, it is the Carrie Show. Ha! Yeah. You like that? We're gonna reclip that, and it's gonna be used again for my theme song. Maybe not. Probably not. I could do a Super Bowl commercial, to be honest. How's everyone doing this morning? How are your sales goals? We'll do a check-in on sales goals. How many more we got? Let's see, it's the middle of February, so we're halfway through the quarter. Halfway through the quarter, make sure we have our deposit accounts in and our credit card apps. Do we have our credit card apps? I sure hope so. Check the leaderboard. Check the leaderboard. Thank you all so much for joining. My name is CarrieAnne Cormier. I'm the host here at the Carrie Show. I am, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a financial services executive, currently taking a pause from corporate life and just love being able to share my industry knowledge, random whimsy, and fun with all of you. So got a fun show for today. I am, think I've told you guys this before. I am from Central Mass, so about 45 minutes west of Boston. And this was kind of a weekend for us. I am not a sports fan. I do not follow sports. Not really my jam. But when you're born in the general Boston area, you are a Boston sports fan just out of birthright. So go Patriots. We did not win. I did not go into any Super Bowl parties. I do love the commercials. I'm one of those people that will watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials. I watched it, and the commercials sucked. Like, go back in time and give me a good Doritos commercial, Pepsi commercial, something funny, Taco Bell, like the Chihuahua. Was that a Super Bowl commercial at one point? Because that was so good. They just were disappointing. And I also noticed that there weren't as many financial commercials as there had been in the past. Usually we've seen a couple, I'll say fintech ones the last couple years. I do have a little rundown to talk about the Super Bowl commercials. So I'm pulling out the ones that are financial services, or we'll say financial services adjacent. We had the Redfin Rocket Mortgage, Intuit TurboTax, Coinbase, and then I want to just touch on the Claude one. But I think the other ones are really the primary ones. So let's start with the Redfin Rocket Mortgage one. America Needs Neighbors Like You with Lady Gaga singing the Mr. Rogers song. Okay, first of all, grew up on love me some Mr. Rogers. Love me some Mr. Rogers. Okay. Don't hate me some Lady Gaga, right? She's fine. It was kind of like a down and sad commercial. Like political undertones. It just wasn't my thing. It didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. It made me feel sad. Maybe that's what they were going for. It didn't capture the positive, buying a home is such a can be, I guess, such a warm, empowering, exciting moment, and it was just meh. But I guess that's a really I guess, narrow-minded view of home buying, right? People buy homes for all sorts of reasons. And the two in the commercial, one appeared to be maybe depicting a divorce. The mother says, "Oh, don't worry, you'll still see dad soon." And the other one looked like they were uprooting their entire family to move, maybe for the dad's job or something, because he seemed to be a focal point in the commercial. Um, but it was kind of a drag, not gonna lie. And one of the things that was interesting, so I'll totally agree. America needs good neighbors. Love me some neighbors. Neighbors are an important part of communities and all that. Um, but there was a part that like wasn't front and center, that they were having this big home giveaway in the Redfin app. So I found it in the YouTube video, the comment, like the description. It says, in a historic first, Redfin is hiding $1 million home for someone to find in the Redfin app and become America's newest neighbor. It's an epic nationwide search for $1 million home running from February 8th to February 10th. The first person to find it wins it. Like, that's kind of exciting. Where was that? Where was that? Like, I think that would have been like super energizing. Again, I'm not really a brand creative person, so if you asked me to come up with a really good commercial, I probably couldn't do it. But I guess it's interesting, and I wonder if there's banks and credit unions out there. They always You always see the good side of home buying, the tugging at your heartstrings. This feels so good. We're moving. It's our first time home buying. We're upgrading from our starter home to our forever home, like all that stuff. But yeah, there's financial need for all of life's moments. So that one, it felt like a downer, but um, I guess there was a good message there. Preferably, I would have just kept that for another time. It's not really Super Bowl headlining, but that's okay. That's okay. Then we had the Intuit TurboTax one featuring Adrian Brody, and that one was titled "Drama Free Taxes." And I thought this one was kind of funny. He kept acting out a scene. Says, "When do they cry? When do they cry?" He was practicing to be a TurboTax expert or consultant, and he kept asking the coach or the other consultant, like, "When do they cry?" He's like, "They don't like cry in taxes. It's not that bad." And that definitely plays to the fact that a lot of us have like stress and anxiety around financial services or financial decisions or taxes and all this. You really don't understand it, and it's a tough topic. They were able to play that out in a fun way, I thought. um, it definitely had like he kept trying to add more drama to it, and they're like, no, no, it's fine. And I think that did, like, if I were a consumer, right, and I would say I do use TurboTax for my taxes. I do that myself. That may stop online, but and not related to this video, but just I probably am starting to like surpass my skill set for online taxes, and I do need a professional. Like, I am 41, I probably should get a professional. Okay, but anyway, side note, um, with the video, I did like this one. It had it in a funny way. It hit on the hard part of financial services, and if I wasn't using TurboTax, it might be like, "Oh, okay, that's a reliable service, that's a easy service." It felt like it got the message across. A lot of these commercials, I don't feel like they get the message across, um, which brings me to the everybody Coinbase one. Okay, like, can we break this one down for a second? Because this one's really really bothering me. Okay, I don't understand it. So let's start with love me some Backstreet Boys, okay? Love me some Backstreet Boys. Um, Seen them at Fenway and KOTBSB. Like, I had the CDs in 1998. Like, love me some Backstreet Boys. Um, this commercial was confusing. Now let's go back in our time machines to 2022, where Coinbase did their QR code video. Do you all remember that? Like the bouncing QR code and it was like, choo, 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 choo. Was that confusing? Yes. Did I scan the QR code and get $15 in crypto? Yes. Is that crypto now worth $25? Absolutely. Was every InfoSec person in the world cringing because there was a QR code that the world was scanning? Absolutely, 100%. Like, I just remember the day after that, everyone online and in person's like, "Oh my gosh, I tell people not to scan things, and here you are." Like, what if that was a hack? But why you just go scan everything you see? Like, yes, I know. I'm sorry. QR codes fascinate me. They're fascinating. I just can't help myself. It's interesting, all right? And I wanna see what's on the other side. Like, okay, I'm not someone who grew up where there was QR codes everywhere, okay? But I remember when I started to see them, and I just thought they were so cool. So cool, and I'm, like, in the dressing room at Ann Taylor, and I'm, like, trying on clothes, and there's a QR code on the dressing room wall, and it's like, "Scan me for 15% off your purchase." Hell yeah. Viruses didn't even cross my mind. Identity theft, information theft, nope, nope. Give me that 15% off at Ann Taylor. I was enthralled, and I just thought it was so cool, and then it was like, "We're gonna put a QR code on everything. QR codes." Okay, but, like, can we stop putting QR codes on, Facebook posts? I mean, I guess you can technically screenshot the post or save it and then press it in your phone, like, I guess you could do that. Um, but do we just use it for posters and, like, out-of-home stuff that we can scan with our phone, not on our phone? Like, can we all vote on that right now? Can we? Because I'm a little confused. I need a lesson on QR codes. I thought it was for, like, physical, but we're seeing a lot of digital posted QR codes, and, like, I don't understand that. Okay, anyway, back to Coinbase. So, I thought that ad was good. The original one, the bouncing thing, maybe it's just because, again, I'm a millennial, I remember the screensaver, like, I just think that's so cool, and I got $15, which is now $25. By the way, that's like a, 68% increase, right? Like, super cool. Um But this year, like, the Backstreet Boys sing-along, like, maybe I wasn't drunk and I didn't, like, feel like singing "Everybody." Okay, now rewind. If they had made a parody of the song, like the T-Mobile commercial, and we'll get into that a little bit only because it relates to Backstreet Boys, but if they had made some sort of parody song, that may have been funny. Like, "Oh my gosh, Coinbase is back again." Like, I don't know. Like, would that have been more interesting? I just don't understand how Backstreet Boys and Coinbase, like, and the karaoke, I don't understand how it syncs up. Now, I did read an article that was like, "Well, we just shot our shot." You know what? Sometimes that's what marketing is. You just shoot your shot. Just right? Like, whatever, right? Um, and there is a chance that there were bars or parties where people were, like, belting it out. My house was not one of them. Part of me did want to, but I was a little confused when they changed some of the words, like, "Am I so secure?" Like, I is that's not the original version. Is it an alternate, like a radio edit safe version, or was that just for the commercial? I don't know. But it threw me off, like, "Okay, are you going somewhere with this?" I was confused, but then I see the T-Mobile commercial, and it did have, like, a fun element. I wouldn't say it was a fun or funny commercial, but it had a little bit of a fun element. It was, like, flashy and partying and, a lot of pink, like my fun sweatshirt here. But I again, so it made me think of, like, why are two different companies using Backstreet Boys for their commercial? Honest to gosh, didn't even know Backstreet Boys were that relevant other than, like, you see them once in a while. So I, like, Googled it, And apparently, they've had a residency at the Las Vegas Sphere for the last year. And they released a Millennium 2.0. I didn't know that. I guess I'm not as cool as I thought I was. This is the Carrie Show. She's not that cool like she thought she was. Do, 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 do. But like if you think about it, right? So let's assume that Backstreet Boys like means something. So that like in the Coinbase, I'm trying to like read into this, right? That like maybe crypto and Coinbase has moved beyond like the early adopters, right? So they're not hip and they're not cool. They're for everyone now. Backstreet Boys kind of have this legacy now that transcends gender, generations. Everyone kind of knows who Backstreet Boys are, I think. Like, I don't know if my kids do, but they definitely know who Britney Spears is. So, like, can she make a Super Bowl commercial comeback? Like, get those dance moves and do us a Pepsi commercial, please, Britney. Like, that would get our attention. So let's assume that T-Mobile and Coinbase chose Backstreet Boys because they kind of have a broad appeal, right? And they're moving, like, for Coinbase, they're moving on just from the early adopters. They're now transcending all sorts of generations, and it's more crypto users now. Sure, maybe. I did think it was interesting that there were two, and like supposedly none of them knew about the other one, but like wouldn't you have that in your recording agreement? Like I follow, is it Liz, the brand manager on TikTok? Um, she is the wife and brand manager for someone who used to be a singer, Steven something. I like, can someone fill me in on this? Who it is? I don't know, but I'm enthralled. She goes over contracts. And the information behind, like, if you own your masters or if you're in your publishing rights. It's fascinating. Like, and I don't even know anything about this or clearly who this Steven is. He, but he sang and he wrote. So they showed like the different deals he gets, but it talks about like the deals that come in for them. Like, I think he maybe co-wrote or wrote a song, Save It for a Rainy Day. I should, okay, hold on. Let's bear with me while I like look this up because I'm embarrassing myself and we need the full context. Liz, the brand manager, Steven, TikTok. Oh no, that's not her. Liz, the brand manager. Oh, that's not her. Okay. All right, hold on. I liked a video last night. We're going to find this. We're going to do this together because I think this is important.
I'm Jacqueline.
Whoa, okay. We're going to find this because it's important. And I always like her videos. Oh, here we go. Liz, the music manager. Liz, the music manager. Okay, so now we're going to Google that. Figure out who her husband is. Liz, the music husband. Good, great question. Thank you. Stephen Bishop. Okay. And perfect. So if you're old and know who Stephen Bishop is, if you're young and know who Stephen Bishop is, I am not one of them, except I love watching her talk about deals. So did he sing Save It for a Rainy Day? Yeah, okay. Okay. This relates to banking, I promise you. So, okay, Stephen Bishop in 1976 sang the song Save It for a Rainy Day. Okay. And in her in one of her TikToks, so she goes over some of the requests for brand deals that she gets in. And a large bank asked to use Save It for a Rainy Day. And I forgot the amount that they wanted to give her, but or give him, but it was, it included, like, unlimited rights, so they could use it anywhere globally, no creative control, so he wouldn't be able to weigh in on how it was used, and it said it could be used for anything like, collections, bad lending, like, literally, um, like, subprime lending and, like, all this stuff, and, like, she's like, um, yeah, and it was like a 10-year deal, 5-year exclusivity or something like that, and then the ability to renew. And it was really cool how she broke it down, and, it would be interesting to know what bank was asking for it, or financial services company, or if it was for the Super Bowl. But, it was really cool and how she broke it down and shared, and she's like, "Okay, for this, there was like, an exclusivity agreement where no one else could use that for the 10-year period," and she's like, "Why would I wanna hold up all that money for 10 years, like, for just that? Because we could get more, and not have creative control, so it could potentially hurt the further equity in the brand of the song," and I'm like, "That's really interesting." So it made me think of, in this, why they didn't ask for an exclusivity for Backstreet Boys, either Coinbase or T-Mobile. They or they did and it was denied. So is it good that there was 2 Backstreet Boys commercials? Does that help boost, or does it take away from it? I thought it kinda took away from it because 'cause I'm like, "What?" It made me, like, more focused on the Backstreet Boys than T-Mobile or Coinbase. I actually had to look up which was the other one that used it. Like, I couldn't remember if it was Verizon or any of that, like, and it was T-Mobile. So I thought that one was interesting. I thought it kinda missed the mark. One of the ones that I saw a headline online that said, "Forget the Patriots versus Seahawks. The real Super Bowl showdown was Anthropic versus OpenAI." And their 2 commercials. Now we'll file these under, financial services adjacent because in our last live, we did a lot of talk about AI and how it relates to banking. Um but I thought the Claude one was so good in how it presented. It was kind of funny and it sent a message. One of the topics I had for this stream, just to quickly touch on as a follow-up from last one, was about, there was an article in CNBC the last week or so about how OpenAI is gonna start incorporating commercials. So into their, like, advertisements into their chats, and so it was interesting to see the Claude commercial that was like, "Ads are coming, but not to Claude. There's a time and a place for ads, but conversations with AI shouldn't be one of them." And I thought that was really interesting because it was kind of clearly digging at OpenAI and, the possibility to start launching ads in ChatGPT. But it did it in a funny way because I also loved how it, like, totally agreed with you, like, "Oh, that's a really great, yeah, let's do that." And it was, like, super, like, positive, and I thought, so if there was one of the better ones, I feel like the Claude one was good. The OpenAI one was a little more inspirational. It talked about using their coding platform or whatever we wanna call it, that, everyone can kind of access that. Um, it was more, yeah, I would say inspirational is a good, like, more, I don't know if there's another word. Let's see. Mm, I would say that's it. Like, maybe aspirational, like, it showed you can do more, get more, um, be anything you wanna be. I did like the Claude one better because that was more grounded in reality, and, uh, talking about the CNBC article, let's get into that for a little bit because I thought that's, like, super interesting. Yeah, what do you guys think about ads in AI in your chat? I thought the example that they gave was perfect because there are a couple of things that I do see people suggesting, like, so when I'm in a Facebook group, right? Um, 2 things I've seen suggested a lot is, like, "What are you guys doing for your workouts? Like, how are you building muscle?" Like, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, well, I don't go to a gym. I went into ChatGPT and asked it for, like, a workout regimen, how to do this." And so I thought that really hit on that. And the other one I see quite frequently is like about budgeting, right? So like, how do I save money? Like, oh, well, I built my budget using ChatGPT. Interesting. I have not tried that. I'm going to have to put that on my list. But so those are kind of two that I think would be relevant, and they went the exercise route, and that totally makes sense with the ad of like, do you want this protein powder? It feels like when you're in there and you're looking for a question, it feels like a non sequitur, but think about like Google and everything. Like that's the same thing. They built most of their brand on ad revenue. Now, in the article, um, 'cause some of the highlights are ads are going to begin to appear at the bottom of chatbots answers, and they will be clearly labeled. OpenAI said it will test ads with its free and Go users in the US, but Plus, Pro, and Enterprise will not include ads. So again, that's a way to upsell you, ad free, and that ChatGPT's responses will not be influenced by ads. And OpenAI said it will never sell users' data to advertisers, according to the press release. So that's interesting. Never say never, right? But imagine you're in your ChatGPT and you're asking it about a budget. You're asking for financial advice, and then it pops up with an offer or a recommendation. That is interesting, and it's something that financial services marketers should keep an eye on. Um, it's probably not hot front and center, but you should know about it because there's definitely an opportunity there to maybe be an early adopter, try it out. Um, it's interesting because like it reminds me kind of like some of the websites like bankrate.com, right? Or depositaccounts.com. Is that still a thing? Where, everyone was so worried about what their rating was and, oh, we were named top in depositaccounts.com. And that was just really like a pay to play. Like if you advertise there, you would show up. And what's the other one? I don't want to misquote, but for a while, oh, well, like Credit Karma too, right? That one was showing offers for credit cards. You would be the best fit for this, but only because they advertise here. Now, translate that into OpenAI or Claude, right? If they do ever get to the ad model, if you're in whatever your AI engine is, and the ad comes up, and you're like, huh. Now it says it's not influenced by ads, but where does your mind go? And it's making it convenient. That's the one you choose. I think it's interesting. I think financial services marketers should keep an eye on it really closely. If not participate, I think they should see what's out there and try some of the financial services prompts and see what's coming up. It's definitely not something to close your eyes and pretend it goes away because if you think about it, Google has AI built into it, obviously, right? And that comes up with recommendations. So it's already out there in certain ways. And if you're like me and you do a roundup for your team, like I told you guys, I would do a little regular around the web roundup of some of the hottest stories or concepts or things online in the banking world or local banking world. And I think it's something to educate your team on. If you're worried about, let's say 2 years down the road when it's a when it's a hot thing, and trying to get your compliance officer along, start bringing them along for the ride now. Right? Start educate them, send them articles, do an update at if you have like a president's meeting or a senior team meeting, start updating your colleagues on that now because it's going to be a hot topic and you don't want to wait for the time to come and then start educating because then you're already want to get in the fast lane and do it. Start educating your boards on it now because I think it's going to be AI. If you have a really scary, if you're like, I'll say a good portion, not all, not the majority, but a good portion of banks or credit unions that have maybe older, sleepier boards that one may crave this education, but two are scared of some of some of this, start educating them now. That would be super helpful. What I think was a huge miss, when you get when you get to the the Backstreet Boys Coinbase, ads, all of that, right? The huge miss here in the Super Bowl, I'm gonna tell you what it was not the Patriots losing. It was that no one asked Romeo to do a song. Now, if you know Romeo on TikTok, um, she I don't know how to say this, just started suggesting commercials, jingles. So, her most famous one is the Dr. Pepper one, and she's like, "Dr. Pep, baby, it's good and nice." And then she's like, "Ba-da-da, ah," something like that, right? And then she did a Vita Coco, "Vita Coco, it's crazy loco," or something like that. Why did no one ask Romeo to do a commercial? Why? Why? Like, okay, that would have been a slam dunk. Coinbase, had you done a Romeo Coinbase jingle, man, she could have, like, you wouldn't have even needed a 30-second spot. 15, oh, she would have been in and out. Yeah. Yeah. So good. I think that was a miss. But again, does that then cater to a certain demographic? So I'm a millennial, an older millennial. Um, if I were to say Romeo, I wonder if a lot of people know who I'm talking about. I think so. She's quite popular on TikTok. Um, but is that then catering more towards a Gen Z? So I had to look this up. Gen Z, what the range was for the age. And so, according to Google, Gen Z is between 1997 and about 2010. Kind of, some places said 2012, some said 2010. So let's assume it's 2010. So if you were born in 1997 to 2010, that makes you Gen Z. These people are about 16 to 29-year-olds. So I would say that's a prime demographic for Romeo. Um, if Coinbase is trying to come with the persona that they're beyond the early adopters and the hipsters, and they're not just for young people trying to invest their money in crypto, maybe Backstreet Boys make sense. I don't I don't know. Like, I'm struggling with the fact that it wasn't funny and it wasn't catchy. I mean, I guess I'm talking about it, so it had some sort of element of that, but it didn't hit. Didn't hit. And I didn't get $15. Had you given me another crappy commercial with $15, hell yeah. That would have been fine. Wouldn't have cared. Right? What do you guys think? Did you have a favorite, like, out of these? I'm interested in what your thoughts are. I'm not gonna get into the other commercials, like, I don't wanna, like, break down from a branding aspect on, like, this one tells you about authenticity. This one tells you to, like, humanize the brand. This one tells you to be funny. These just these weren't worth breaking down. But I thought it would be cool to highlight the financial services and financial service adjacent ones for today. Speaking of, like, Gen Z and millennials, so I was thinking about this. Okay, you're gonna see the point here. So a couple years ago, DCU did a Super Bowl commercial, and I thought that was kind of cool. And wouldn't it have been like a great time for them with, like, the FirstTech merger to do another one, like, maybe as FirstTech? They definitely missed the mark on their merger announcement. I remember when it came out, I was just like so lackluster about it, and I had gotten the heads up maybe 2 hours before the announcement, from team members at DCU that they were just told, um, as employees right before the announcement was going public. And so got it through the grapevine, heard it, and I'm like, "Wow, I gotta see what this looks like." So wait for the announcement, refreshing my feeds, it comes out. I see the videos, it was so disconnected. Like, if you looked at, the FirstTech one versus the DCU, like, where each CEO was sharing the news, it was so cold. Like, I really liked the FirstTech video, I thought they did a great job. Who's their CEO? Hold on, FirstTech. Before okay, so it's saying FirstTech, Greg Mitchell. Um, I thought he did a good job. It really focused on the employees, the communities. It definitely felt warm. The one that Shruti did for DCU, it was so like buttoned up and cold, and it didn't really play to the history and strengths of DCU. There was definitely a bigger story to tell there, and the fact that they were in two separate like they weren't even in the same room, like a joint release would have been so amazing. Like, you can do your own separate ones maybe if you needed to do like a sub video for your individual credit unions, but do like a joint one to like put the message together. I remember saying that. I remember breaking this down, and then certain people, organizations like kept parroting everything I said like it was their own. Like, oh yeah, they should have done a joint one. I'm like, yeah, okay, thank you for mansplaining that to me. I didn't just come up with that idea like 3 hours ago and tell you, but whatever. That's okay. Pretend like you know what you're talking about. Um, but it was like such a downer. And being in Massachusetts, DCU has such strong roots here with the original Digital Corp. And there's such a really, really strong love for that brand that definitely fell flat. And the opportunity to, and I know it was probably a touchy subject, right? You're not sure how to approach it where there is such a love for the brand. But I think the separation and the coldness, um, had they could have tied that together into a Super Bowl commercial, that would have been cool. Because remember, like DCU did a Super Bowl commercial a while ago, and it wasn't even like that good. And maybe it would just aired locally here. But I remember thinking like, "Whoa, that's so cool! DCU did a Super Bowl commercial." Well, had they or had them in First Tech, because now they're going to be a pretty big deal across the U.S. Had they regained themselves and done a really cool like joint video, focused on what the new First Tech looks like, it might have been a good idea. Yeah. I I don't know if Romeo would have done the commercial. It might not be her brand, but for a couple mil, she probably would have been willing to help out. But where I'm going with this, you'll see. It's tying the Super Bowl commercial thread to the DCU thread to the next topic, which is like Gen Z clients, because we talked about that. See how it's all, you see where I'm going, right? That I always have a plan. People think I don't have a plan. I always have a plan. There is always a reason for everything. DCU has been doing a series of social posts. So they had what did they call it? Let me see if I can find it. They did a 2025 Gen Z banking habits survey report. So it's kind of a whole lot of nonsense here. I'll say mostly tailored to credit unions and why do you like credit unions more than community banks or big banks? Because they're scary. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. So they did this study. It was through an independent research firm. The data was collected between February 28th, 25 and March 31st, 2025. Had about 1,300 teens and young adults ages 13 to 28. So we're not going to get into the whole nonsense, but it's interesting. They're posting like snippets from the survey results on their socials. Now, banks and credit unions say that they want a younger audience, right? It's always about first, in my time, it was we need more millennials. What do millennials want from banks? Everything, nothing, whatever. That was an article in American Banker, um, featuring a quote by me. But it was like, what do millennials want? And by then I'm like, dude, millennials are. It's too late Focus on Gen Z. Millennials are ready to inherit wealth. They're buying homes. Like, dude, move on. They've already gotten their first checking account like 10 years ago. This was like 10 years before that. So, like, dude, okay, now I'm feeling the same way with Gen Z. So, Digital posts this infographic, and it is really cute. I like it. I don't know if, like, as a credit union trying to attract members, I would post this on my socials, because it's like, explore how Gen Z takes control, plans ahead, and uses tools that work for them. You know how you don't attract Gen Z? By talking about them like they're not people. By talking about them in like, talk to Gen Z, not about them, not at them. If you want Gen Z, talk to them. And so this is the infographic saying how Gen Z is taking charge of their own financial well-being. 61% believe schools should be responsible for providing financial literacy education. 41% of Gen Z feel well educated about personal finance. Sure. 39% are planning for retirement by investing in an IRA, employer-sponsored 401k, or other retirement account. 31% are investing in the stock market. Nearly half of respondents were under the age of 22. 54%, so this is where we get back into AI for banking. 54% of Gen Zs want financial institutions to utilize Gen AI if it improves their online experience, but with human oversight and interaction. So we kind of touched on that the last two live shows about what is the role with AI in banking, and does it complement the human interaction? Does it replace it? But they're saying that 54% of Gen Z wants AI tools within their banking experience. And then Gen Z's interest in joining a credit union was 33%. They just don't know the difference. They don't care. But why would you, like, this might be something for LinkedIn, right? Like, when you talk about it, like, your thought leadership kind of like finds, but why do you, when you're on social, right, and you're trying to attract Gen Z as a member, why are you talking about, why not take this information and inform your content? Like, am I missing something here? Like, I thought it was a cool infographic, but it totally misses the mark. And the fact that, like, banks and credit unions are talking about how to attract Gen Z, if they are ages, what did I say? 16 to 29, they're well established with their checking account, their savings account. They're buying houses. Like, they're making big financial decisions. They have 401ks. Like, dude, missing the mark again. Let's start. They're going to be inheriting wealth. Let's start focusing on the next group, Gen Alpha. What are we doing to get our hooks in the kids? They said key traits of Gen Alpha. So this is, we're going to say roughly 2011 to 2024. So they would be about ages, what, 15 to 2? Am I doing my math right? Math is not my strong suit. Key traits: digital natives, tech savvy, heavily influenced by streaming and portable technology. Okay. My daughter is 6, and she's recently discovered, like, she's starting to get heavy into YouTube. And I, like, swore I would never, like, let this happen, but it started so innocently. She was just watching, like, tutorial videos on how to make crafts. She got a rainbow loom bracelet, and she wanted to make a rainbow loom tutorial. And then it turned into, like, clay tutorials on how to make, like, little pinch pots and how to paint and, like, all this stuff. So now she's straight on, like, watching the families that tape their lives and do gymnastic challenges. She is, like, all in on YouTube. Um, are there YouTube shows for kids on financial literacy? Like, that talk about money? That, like streamers that, like, teach like, we need to look at this. If we're talking about capturing, right, Gen Alpha, and let's just forget about Gen Z, okay? Gen Z, like, you guys are old already. Don't care, okay? You're already, like, you're already well into your banking life cycle. Like, sure, you have needs. Yes, we love you, but, like, we're already behind the 8 ball. Let's focus on Gen Alpha. How could a bank or credit union or fintech company, start or easier than starting their own, um, working with a YouTuber, right? A kid, a family to do sponsored content, to do UGC, user generated content, to start doing financial literacy in places that this group is actively being. If you're talking they're heavily influenced by streaming and portable technology, if we know this, okay, what is the next infographic going to be on the website on DCU's social media? What Gen Alpha, how they like to do their banking. Yeah, no shit. No, they're not on Facebook. All right. The only things they want to be on Facebook for is marketplace. Okay. They don't want to be on Facebook because their parents are on Facebook and their grandparents are on Facebook. And sometimes their great grandparents are on Facebook. Okay. So unless someone else invents a good, I'm going to say good because like there's the other ones out there, but like marketplace kind of has a stakehold on that. Right? Okay. So banks, credit unions, take this one away. This is a good one. YouTubers, streamers, Gen Alpha. There's something here. Okay, you heard it here first. So I want to encourage financial institutions when you're listening. If you're marketing to let's just dial it back and say Gen Z. If you're marketing to Gen Z, don't talk to them like they're not people. Don't talk about them. Talk like to them. Yeah. Yeah, have a conversation. Like this kind of missed the mark for me. But like yeah, I have something else, but I'm holding. Because I want to hear what you guys think. Shout out to the replay crew. Those that are watching this maybe on their ride home, at night after the kids go to bed, at the gym, because like what do you want to listen to at the gym more than me talk? Obviously. Probably on 2x though, because like sometimes I'm a fast talker, but lately, like my brain is like going so fast that my mouth can't keep up. So I'm like methodically talking very slow. But like shout out to the replay crew. Thank you for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe. One of the things that I wanted to mention, I was this is my next thing. Probably the last one, so hold on. Is this when we talk about content creation, like so I just mentioned that content creation for financial services would be a really good idea. There's been an interesting like shift on social, and maybe it's just my algorithm talking about like career moves. And so being in the I'll say formerly unemployed from corporate life, my algorithm is getting hit with like people that are in layoffs and people that are rebranding themselves and all stuff, and it's like so super cool that like your algorithm surrounds you with like-minded people. But I don't know if any of you follow advice from Erin on TikTok. She does these like skits about like good responses to say in like career discussions and stuff like that. I think she just wrote a book. But she just posted something that I thought was really cool. She said, like, mark my words, the career ladder is dead. The career garden is here. And I thought that was a really neat way of describing like the journey a lot of us are on right now. And I think this is a new trend that it's going to be less about climbing the corporate ladder and achieving that hierarchy, but more about cultivating your career garden. And I'm not a gardener. I can barely keep houseplants alive. You see, I have one houseplant. Oh shoot, we should water that. I'll do that after. I have one houseplant. It was a gift. It is in my office here. And it is actually barely hanging on, but it looks very wilted right now. And so I'm not a gardener by any means. But when you think about a garden, right? There's not like a hierarchy. It's you have, maybe your row of tomatoes, your row of cucumbers, Maybe you have a herb garden with some like parsley, rosemary, thyme. What are some other herbs? Um, Maybe you have like a little pumpkin patch. My daughter did a small garden on our front deck, and she had like the little snap peas, like, and she just had so much fun like doing all the little pieces. And I think that that's a cool way to describe the world we're living in right now and that we're moving towards, that it isn't about like climbing the ladder and getting that next level of hierarchy. Like, think about it in financial services. You start as a, let's just go old school, right? You're a teller, then you're a customer service rep or a personal banker. You're a universal banker. You're a senior universal banker or universal banker 3, 4, 5, whatever. You're an assistant manager. You're a manager. You're a assistant vice president, vice president. You go up to maybe a I'm thinking very retail minded, but if say you're a branch administrator, you're a head of retail, you're, a COO, you're a CFO, you're a CEO, like all those different like things, and you're checking off boxes, but you're not cultivating your garden. It's very I'm like having a moment. It's like very track oriented, right? And I love that we're in this space right now, and a lot of people are there too, where you're cultivating, it's almost like a little zen, like you're cultivating different pieces of your garden. So, like, maybe for, like, a couple months, you're working on the tomatoes, and then you're planting the green beans, and, like, then you have this beautiful garden to show for it. And I think of that a lot, and, a girl I'm connected with on LinkedIn, I have met her over the years at different conferences, Claudia Sandino. Um, she is a social media guru and also now an author, which is, like, really super cool. But she posted something about LinkedIn 2016 versus 2026, and it kind of goes back to my video I did a couple weeks ago on what 2016 looked like for me versus 2026. But she's really focused just on LinkedIn, and so I'm going to throw a couple out there. But I think this is something I want to get into maybe in another show. Um, 2016, updated my profile only when I was job hunting. 2026, if I don't post by 9 a.m., the algorithm files a missing person report. 2016, a professional headshot in a blazer. 2026, AI caricature or bathroom selfie. 2016, shared a company blog post once a quarter. 2026, if you're not posting 5 times a week, building a newsletter, launching a podcast, and repurposing it into 12 short form clips, are you even serious about growth? 2016, LinkedIn was a place to find a job. 2026, LinkedIn was a place to become the job. And I thought that was so eloquent. She ends it by saying like the platform evolved and some of it feels like we turned professional networking into a full-time content audition. And I feel that so strongly, especially in this chapter. Like I've been on there was a point where I thought I was going to return to corporate life. I don't think I'm there right now. Um, I I don't want to. I need this break, but um, you know, cor- society has told you you need a good corporate job that that pays a lot of money. Doesn't I don't think so. Um, but I went on an interview and someone was like, "Fide, um, you have the portfolio, the skills, the talent, like you can do the job. I need to know like it's a culture fit." And I'm like, "That's so interesting." Like I get that, but they didn't even want to talk about my skills, what I've done. Um, all my accomplishments. They're like, "You wouldn't be here if I didn't think you could do the job." And I'm like, "Okay." So it was basically like, a personality audition, which I nailed, obviously. But I also well, we won't get into that. I also feel like the way you show up on LinkedIn every day and all socials, but we're gonna focus on LinkedIn, um, is like she says, it's a content audition full time. You have to be on, you have to be present, you have to be in front of people. And I think that's really important for we're going to talk about both I would say anyone, right, in a financial institution, you need to be on LinkedIn. So whether you're a rising young professional that is looking to like make a name for yourself, LinkedIn is the spot, and you can be creating your own content. You could be weighing in on topics. You could be watching the show and dropping your thoughts in the chat, and I'm happy to amplify that message. Um, but if you're an executive leader in a financial institution and you're not, at a minimum, okay, sharing your financial institution stuff on LinkedIn, like reposting it, and you don't have like a profile picture, like what are you doing? Like that is like basic. And I see so many executive leaders that are like absent on LinkedIn, and it just feels like such a miss. But you know who's taking the pie? Those that are showing up and putting on a performance every day on LinkedIn, and being present and throwing their commentary, sometimes too much. Um, I feel like sometimes LinkedIn, I don't want to see like memes. I don't want to see I don't want to see like too much personal stuff that's not related to like work. But if you could somehow tie it in, that would make me happy. Um, but like Okay, you know what I don't wanna see? Here's what I don't wanna see. This I'm trying to, like, put it into words. Um, do you remember early on with, like, emailed new chain letters that was like, "Send this to 12 people or you'll have bad luck," and, like, I don't wanna see that, okay? Share this and, like, I don't wanna see that, but anything else is pretty fair game. But there's so many executive leaders, and it really disappoints me that don't see a value in LinkedIn, and as, someone with a marketing mindset, it bothers me, and I'm interested if you're, like if you have your marketing hat on and you're trying to get your executive team to understand how important LinkedIn is. Let's just start there, right? Let's not even go to Instagram. Let's not go to TikTok. Let's not go to Facebook. God forbid we do Twitter, X, or Threads, right? Like TikTok, like let's just start with LinkedIn, right? If we can't get them to be present and like buy into that and engaged, I think that's gonna be a miss. And it helps paint a picture of your financial institution when your leadership is engaged on social. And as this journey in Bank Smart Studio evolves, we're going to have more to talk about there, because it's something I'm very passionate about, and I think that's important. But in the meantime, when we started this discussion from, Super Bowl ads to AI to what's her name? What's her name? Snippets. Romeo. Yeah, yeah, Romeo. Like from there to talking about Gen Z, to talking about DCU and FirstTech, and like um content creation and how we show up every day. I'd love to end here because I think this one is just so powerful and so important. Um, you know, when I first told some colleagues that I wasn't going back, they're like, What are you doing?" Like, well, I'm doing some freelance consulting and I'm gonna do some content. They're like, "That's hard. That's silly." Is it? Or do you just not believe in me? Do you just not believe in yourself? Do you just not think that you could do it? Because I can tell you, like, this is an audition showing up every day like this. And, when Claudia says, like, social's a full-time content audition, this is who I am every day, and this is who I am as a leader. This is who I am as a colleague. This is who I am as an expertise in financial services. And I hope through this journey that I'm able to share that with all of you and encourage you all to find your center and be that leader who you are, both in the physical sense and bring that into a digital sense too, because it's very important. And we'll get into that later because I have some fun ideas. Okay. Anything else going on before we sign off? Today's Tuesday, February 10th. I have my heart tumbler. It's Kate Spade. It's really cute. You see it? Yep. And I have my heart sweatshirt. I love it. We're all about the hearts here at Bank Smart Studio. Definitely for the month of February, if not forever. All right. Well, thank you, Smarties. I really appreciate you joining me, and we will see you online. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay social. All right. Thanks, my friends. We'll see you later.